I'd like to call to order the August 24th, 2015 meeting of Dover City Council. Please stand and join me for an invocation by Bishop Thomas L. Holsey, followed by the pledge to our nation's flag led by Councilman Fred Neal.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, you brought us once again together to carry out the mandate, the business for the community. I ask that you look down upon our city council and that you give them wisdom and knowledge according to your plan and the wisdom of carrying out your mandate. We ask this, Lord, that you touch their families. If there's any sickness, any illness among them, Lord, remove it now in the name of Jesus. And God, we'll praise and magnify you for giving us a meeting that's successful. In Jesus' holy name we pray. Thank God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bishop Holsey, and thank you, Councilman Neal. You have before you this evening's agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
If not, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Hutchison, seconded by Councilman Neal to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the consent agenda. Those items on the council agenda which are considered routine and non-controversial are marked with an asterisk and will be acted upon by a single roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of council so requests, in which event the matter shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered a separate item. What is the pleasure of council? Councilman Lewis.
I would like number 5A pulled from the agenda.
Lewis has requested number 5A. Councilman Anderson.
Thank you. Mr. President, I would like item 8 pulled, please, which is discharging the ad hoc financial and operation advisory committee.
Councilman Anderson has requested item number 8 to be. Are there any other amendments to the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Neal and seconded by Councilman Cole to accept the consent agenda as amended. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sedler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Sable?
Yes, motion carries 9-0. Item number 2 is a presentation by the Kiwanis Club to the Greater Dover Boys and Girls Club. I would ask Alan Kujala, the past president of the Kiwanis Club, who's stepping in for former council president Tom Leary, and Darrell Tingle of the Boys and Girls Club to come forward.
Thank you. On behalf of Kiwanis Club of Dover President Tom Leary and our members, we would like to thank the Dover City Council President and members for affording us a few minutes tonight to complete our pledge to the Greater Dover Boys and Girls Club Capital Project Campaign. The Dover Kiwanis Club is proud to support numerous meaningful projects that benefit our community. Several years ago, our club donated $10,000 toward the construction of the Dover Public Library, the largest such contribution by any service club located here in the state capitol. Tonight, we will make the final payment toward a $25,000 donation for construction of the new Boys and Girls Club facility. We believe this is a worthwhile project that will greatly benefit the children of the Dover community for many years to come. We challenge other service clubs to meet the Kiwanis commitment to improve the world one child and one community at a time. Darrell?
If you would like to come down and get pictures, you're welcome to come down on the floor and get a picture of that.
One more. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Darrell, would you like to say a few words? Can't turn me down, you know that.
I'd like to thank Kiwanis and all the folks that pitched in to make this facility a reality. I think it's going to make a big difference in the lives of the children in this community. They have another place to go, grow, learn, and have fun. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Next, we have item number 3, a proclamation for National Preparedness Month. I would request the city clerk to read the proclamation into the record.
Whereas National Preparedness Month creates an important opportunity for City of Dover residents to prepare their homes, businesses, and their communities for potential natural disasters or terrorist attacks. And whereas investing in emergency preparedness can reduce injuries, fatalities, and economic devastation in our community and nation. And whereas the Federal Emergency Management Agency's READY campaign, Citizens Corps, and other federal, state, local, private, and volunteer agencies are working to increase public activities to prepare for emergencies and to educate individuals on how to take action. And whereas the READY campaign established 4 universal building blocks of emergency preparedness: be informed, make a plan, build a kit, and get involved, with the 2015 National Preparedness Month theme being "Don't Wait, Communicate, Make Your Emergency Plan Today." And whereas emergency preparedness is the responsibility of every citizen of the City of Dover, and all citizens are urged to make preparedness a priority and work together as a team to ensure that individuals, families, and communities are prepared for disasters and emergencies of any type, and are encouraged to participate in preparedness activities and to be proactive in establishing sound plans for addressing emergencies. Now therefore, I, Robin R. Christensen, Mayor of the City of Dover, Delaware, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2015 as National Preparedness Month in the City of Dover, and encourage all citizens, businesses, and organizations to develop their own emergency plan and work together toward creating a more prepared society.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have now item 4, Mayor Robin R. Christensen's veto of the motion adopted by City Council on July 27, 2015, to affirm City Council's decision of March 23, 2015, to move the Economic Development Office under the City Manager, with the understanding that this matter will be revisited in September, which could lead to a different action. During the regular council meeting of August 10, 2015, based on Deputy City Solicitor Pepper's legal opinion that the veto notice was not provided within 7 days of the March 23, 2015 council action, and therefore had no bearing, City Council unanimously accepted Deputy City Solicitor Pepper's recommendation regarding the veto. Subsequently, Mr. Pepper has provided a revised legal opinion that states that because City Council adopted the fiscal year 2016 annual operating budget, including the mayor's fiscal year 2016 organizational chart showing the Police Department and Economic Development Department office under the mayor, the March 23, 2015 motion to move the departments under the city manager as far as Economic Development Office is concerned was reversed. The effect of the July 27, 2015 motion to affirm City Council's decision of March 23rd to move the Economic Development Office under the city manager was to revise the mayor's organizational chart in the fiscal 2016 budget. The mayor vetoed that motion within the time required by charter, and the Economic Development Office will remain under the mayor pursuant to the mayor fiscal year 2016 organizational chart, unless and until council overrides the veto. What is the pleasure of council? Councilman Hare.
I think with everything that's going on in the city and everything we've got to do, I think we should just leave things in place like they are. Just let the mayor be in charge of economic development, let him be in charge of the police department, just like it was before all this started. I think there's more important things to deal with than worrying about who's going to report to who and starting all this little inner battles and, oh, this is a definite possible maybe. I think we can and maybe we can't. I don't know for sure. I think we should just leave it like it was before all this started. Just reset. Okay, it's worked, just leave it alone. Let the mayor have economic development and the police department and the city manager as he was, and let's go from there.
Thank you, Councilman Hare. Councilman Lewis and then Councilman Anderson.
Is Mr. Hare going to put that into a motion?
I make that a motion.
Okay, then I second it if it's a motion.
Okay, there's been a motion to, I understand it, to leave everything the way it was on March 8th, before all this started, which would effectively have the police department, the economic development office reporting to the mayor. It would have the city manager, the controller, city planner, the city assessor, and the city clerk reporting to council, and all other departments reporting to the city manager.
Just like it was before it all started, and I guess we need another motion. We don't even need our meeting on the 16th.
So are you okay with your second of that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Councilman Anderson.
Well, I basically agree with the sentiment. My motion was going to be a technical one, and just to get it out of the way, to override the mayor's veto, which I intended to vote to sustain. But it was just to be technical, just to get it out of the way and off our agenda, and not so we don't deal with it anymore. Because it is on the agenda, and we really should deal with it in a technical basis, I believe.
No.
And but I would defer that for a parliamentary opinion.
I've asked the city solicitor, we can, quote, deal with the veto by not dealing with it, by letting it stay in place, and our motion would only affirm the actions of the veto.
Right.
So,
I'm fine with that.
other comments from Councilman Sudler?
I have a question on the motion. Would this mean that the September 22nd meeting, that we would not have the September 22nd meeting, 16th meeting?
Special meeting we were
Correct.
to have on September 16th.
In regards to the form of government?
That's right. That's at the pleasure of council. That would be a separate issue.
That'd be a separate issue? That's what I'm trying to, okay. Thank you, sir.
Councilman Neal?
Councilman Cole, myself, President Slavin, and the mayor met with a group of very articulate and very knowledgeable members of the 3rd District. And in essence, what they said was a song that from Little Abner, which maybe nobody here ever heard or saw except for me. The song was, "Put them back the way they were." That is what the motions is, and I would concur with that until the 16th, where anybody can say whatever they want, and I support this motion, Councilman Hare.
Councilman Hutchison?
Mr. President, my question to you and to members of council, with the motion that has been made and second, where does the finance responsibility fall under? To whom?
Can you clarify what you mean by the finance responsibility, please?
Does it fall under the controls of the city manager or not?
I believe the ordinance of the city have the control of the expenditures under the city manager.
Just like it was.
Okay, as long, that's the important thing, that the only concern that I certainly have has been the financial side and making sure that the ultimate responsibility under the charter in which we operate, the city manager and council is responsible for the budget.
Let me clarify my answer. I think it falls duly under the city manager as well as there are responsibilities under the controller.
And it also,
Councilman
and it
Hare?
also will have input from the mayor.
Correct.
Yeah, just like it has been in the past. And just to go on the record, well, if this passes as it's been presented, I won't be at the 16th meeting.
Other comments from members of council? I'm going to ask for a roll call vote on this. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Again, the motion is to return to what we were, the form of government we were on March 8th, which includes the office.
The motion that I have is to reset to
Are we clear on the motion?
Read the motion for the record.
So the motion was to reset the form of government to what it existed on March 8th, which includes the Police Department and Economic Development Office reporting to the mayor, city manager, comptroller, city planner, city assessor, city clerk reporting to council, and all other departments reporting to the city manager. Councilman Sutherland.
Point of clarity, what is the form currently right now versus, because
With
I'm
the
a little
veto-
confused.
With the veto in place, that is the form of government that's in place right
Okay, thank you.
now. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sedler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis? I'm
Yes.
sorry. Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes, motion carries 9-0. Any other further discussion on this issue? Mr. Sutler, did you want to raise the issue of the September 16th? Councilman Hare, do you have your hand up? Councilman Hare?
I was just going to make a motion that I don't feel we need to have the September 16th meeting. I make a motion that we
The only,
don't have the September 16th meeting.
the only concern I have is we have put it out there and and I just want to make sure that even though there wasn't a lot of concern when I was running and in a lot of these meetings as to this issue, it's more like you said, I think it's kind of a inside politic kind of thing, but at the same time, like, we want to be transparent, we want to be open, so I don't know if that would be a better opportunity for at least people to kind of have a clear understanding of it. So maybe, I mean, it doesn't have to be 3 hours or anything, but I mean, I don't know how you.
Councilman Sutler.
I believe that we do need to meet on the 16th, and we need to continue to include our constituents in regards to this matter. We may have personal opinions of how the government should be ran, but truth be spoken, we represent our constituents and not our personal interests. With that being said, I would disagree with Councilman Hare. I do believe we do need a meeting on the 16th, and we need to continue to get the support and input of our constituents, and then report back to City Council as a whole in regards to what we need to do as far as our vote. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Apologize. We have a motion, but we did not have a second.
Withdraw the motion,
You want to withdraw the motion?
but I got a question.
Motion's been withdrawn. Councilman Hare?
What is the purpose of the meeting on the 16th? To discuss the form of government? Oh, so what we did tonight doesn't mean anything. So we can
Councilman
change it.
Councilman Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the purpose of the meeting, the 16th, is still as discussed. But what we're doing right now is a clarification, because there was a confusion about whether or not, which was the current governing structure, because the previous council had 3 different forms of government within a 2-month period. It really created confusion. All we were doing was eliminating any confusion over which was governing, whether it was the budget document or the March 8th motion, and we just basically confirmed it was the budget document, so there's no confusion in the interim. We may not make any changes after this, but that's something we should probably let the people tell us one way or the other. We've put it out. We said we were going to do it for the last month. There's other charter amendments which are also supposed to be discussed, and also other ideas about restructuring some departments. And all, it wasn't just a form of government issue. It was there were several issues that were supposed to be discussed at that time, cost efficiencies, things of that nature. So even if we eliminate a form of government from it, talking about cost efficiencies and ideas like that is still a valid reason for the meeting, I believe.
Any other further comments? Councilman Sutherland?
Just for the record, representing the 4th District, my constituents are concerned about the form of government. In addition, when we had the Legislative Finance Administration Committee meeting, we had constituents that came out and said they want a new form of government. They want one person to be held accountable. And I think if we go back and look at those minute meetings, I think that would clarify a lot of the discrepancy between whether we should have a new form of government or not. I'm just saying to my fellow council colleagues that we need to let and include the taxpayers and our constituents in on this. It is a touchy situation, it's sensitive, it's nothing personal, but I promised my constituents when I ran that my vision would be their vision and not my personal interest. So I don't feel comfortable saying we don't need a new form of government when I myself believe personally that we need a strong mayor form of government. I don't know if Mayor Christensen is the one to hold that position. I'm not saying he is, I'm not saying he isn't. I'm just saying for the future moving forward, I believe, and a lot of my constituents believe, that's why they voted me in, that we need a strong mayor form of government. So for the record, I don't want people to feel like this is a personal attack. I'm representing my constituents in the 4th district. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Souther. I tend to agree that I think we need to, in this long discussion that's taken place over the course of a year, we kind of broke something that we've come a long way to fix this evening. And I appreciate the efforts of passing the motion to return government back and focus on outcomes of our government rather than on the form of it. But another thing that we broke was, I think, the trust and the understanding people had. And I think we should live up to that commitment. It may be a meeting where we don't take any action. It could just be a meeting where we just take testimony and that's the pleasure of council. Councilman Cole, did you have your hand?
I had my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Lewis. Why am I getting? Sorry.
Maybe because we have the same word jacket on. I kind of concur with you, Mr. Slavin, with respect to going forth with this meeting, because I would like to not only hear from my constituents in the 2nd District, I would like to hear pretty much from everybody in Dover and what their comments are, and because we do represent them, we were elected to represent them, and we work for them, the constituents of our city.
Any further discussion? We do not need a motion because we already voted and the 16th meeting has already been scheduled.
Thank you, Council President.
Next item is item number 5A, which was taken off consent agenda by Councilman Lewis. Why don't do you want me to have Mrs. Townsend explain the issue first? Or do you want to?
That's
Go ahead.
fine. She
Okay.
can start, and then I'll
Mrs. Townsend?
proceed with my questions.
Mr. Chairman, this is a Parks and Recreation.
Oh, you're right.
Thank you.
Councilman Anderson, as Chair of Parks and
Thank you.
Recreation. Would you like Mrs. Townsend to explain the issue?
Maybe. But first, an opening statement, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chair, I want to thank Councilman Lewis for his diligence and looking at the different issues. The Parks and Recreation Committee had questions on this issue because the committee had recently taken and voted to target our money as part of the overall plan with the Downtown Development District and the state money, where the first priority would be for housing within the Downtown Development District. And yet we had a request, but we also always had an understanding that while that may be a first priority, community development money wasn't meant just for one portion of the city, but the entire city. All the taxpayers federally put money into it, and we were not trying to be exclusive. We were just trying to set a priority. What happened in discussion is InCall and others came forward, and the first need that was to be addressed happened to be outside of the development area, but the others that followed it were within the Downtown Development District. Therefore, instead of pushing that person back and possibly losing, they're losing the mortgage and the sale opportunity and having to wait, it was seen to be better just to allow the one that was ready to go first and then the others to go as they came. And it wouldn't do any, and the committee believed that it wouldn't do any violence to to the prioritization because 3/4 of the money would still go into the downtown development district. And it also met our concern, our intent, which was always to allow this exception so that the rest of the city would not be excluded. And so it kept within our intent. That was the thinking behind it. And so we backed the staff recommendation with we had a lot of questions, but all of them turned out to be answered to our satisfaction. I'd like to yield to Mrs. Townsend if you have any questions.
Well, my major question is, and I have concerns with this because the grant money was specifically allocated for the downtown, the downtown development district targeted area, to be correct. And my concern is, the money was allocated for that, the grant money, and it should be utilized for that. And what you're doing is you're deviating money from that. And that's where my concerns come into play with this.
Well, she pointed to me, but actually, the community development money is actually for the whole city. And anyone in the city could be eligible for it. We just, because of our plan, we just wanted to make sure that the money was prioritized, so most of it went into the district. But it's not diverting money from its original purpose. The program has existed for longer than I've been on the committee, which was back in the late 90s, 2000, and it's always had been citywide.
Well, why does it specifically say the downtown development district targeted area?
Yes.
That's what it specifically says.
Yes. Well, would you like to go into why this prioritization occurred, Mrs. Thompson?
So it's kind of deceptive.
Yeah, so I'll give, I guess there's two responses. One, because of the efforts with the downtown development district, it was the recommendation of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Enhancement Committee, which ultimately was approved by City Council, to focus our home ownership assistance within that downtown development district area. So that was a decision of this council. It's not a requirement of any of the HUD rules or anything like that. In this specific case, in addition to some of the things Mr. Anderson has already stated, the purchaser of this home that is in need of assistance has been working with the NCAW housing counselor for about a year. So she's been working through the process, and so she started her process before this additional string was put on this money. So part of it is also a timing issue in that while ideally we would want to see it all spent in the downtown because we do need to get our home ownership numbers up there, you have a purchaser who's kind of caught in the middle. And the housing counselor who has been working with her testified that if she's not able to get the down payment assistance, she will not be able to go to settlement. So she will miss out on the opportunity for home ownership. So part of it is, it was the decision of City Council to prioritize the downtown area, but you also have a purchaser who started their process well in advance of even our district designation, who's kind of caught in the middle.
Okay, but by voting and doing this, moving forward with this, you're opening Pandora's box. Because, let's say I have two people that live in my district right now that are new homeowners, and they're having hardship. Can they apply for this and get $20,000? You got anybody in your district, Mr. Neal?
I got a whole community. That's
So,
up for sale.
if you let, it's kind of discriminatory in nature too, because if you're gonna let one, then you gotta let everybody. What about the people in the other districts?
Councilman Hare, Councilman Hare, and then Councilman Hutchinson, then Councilman
I
Anderson.
think if those people had applied and put their blood, sweat, and time into doing what they were told for 7, 8, 9 months, and then the government comes in and says, okay, now we're changing this forward, yeah, then they would be eligible. And it's like it's like telling you you've got to do this, 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 then this, and then you do everything and you're ready to go, and then in midstream they change it. The people are grandfathered in to allow. That's what happened.
So this person's a victim of circumstance.
Let me go to
Yes.
Councilman Hutchinson. Councilman Hutchinson?
Well, I think it's based on case by case, and quite frankly, I heard the testimony regarding this applicant, and I absolutely 100% support the request. And quite frankly, it fulfills the grant application process. Yes, it goes outside because it's outside the downtown Dover area, but it absolutely fulfills the requirements of the actual grant. And I therefore, based on the testimony that was given, think that it was because of in-call involvement and everything else, it was a good thing to do. And again, if you got people coming in from 4th District or whatever, goes back to case by case. And there is no question that this person certainly met the qualification needed in order to get it.
Councilman Ayers. Councilman Ayers.
And Mrs. Townsend brought up something important that bared very heavily on the committee, and that was we basically had one person who was caught in the process, who had taken and gone through the process, who was eligible for this program, was working through the program, and then all of a sudden the rule changed. But within that, the power was granted that if there was an exception needed, that they could come before the committee and present their case for the exception. And that's what happened. You know, so this person was following the rules and is still following the rules and the procedures that were laid out. This has historically been for the whole city, but because we were putting together incentive packages for the downtown development district, we put in where we would prioritize most of the money to downtown, which we're still doing. We're still prioritizing most 75 to 80% of the money still going to go into the downtown district, but we always had an understanding, if you go back into those minutes a few months ago, that some of that money would go into other parts of the city, but we were going to wait until after the downtown applications had come in, and they were evaluated. If it was all spent, then it would all be spent. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be. But the problem is, like Mr. Harris said, there was one that was previously in the pipeline, and it just didn't seem fair to tell somebody that, oh, sorry, we changed the rules midstream and you no longer qualify, or you have to wait.
So now that the rules are changed, if 20 people came down here tomorrow and asked if they could be given $20,000, they're having hardship with purchasing a new home, they would be denied because the rules changed? That's what you're going to tell them?
They would have the right to apply.
They would.
And they still have the right to apply. We encourage people to apply.
So,
but you have to get in line. It's a first come, first served basis.
So
It's the rule, and
I'll
if
allow
the money
open
runs
dialogue,
out, you're done.
I don't know about that.
But I had Councilman Lewis and then Councilman Hare. Councilman Lewis?
Go ahead, I'll defer.
Councilman Hare?
I think what would happen, those 20 people could apply, and if there's enough for
five, right?
5 people to get it, and there's 5 people in the downtown district that applied, they're going to get first options. And then if there's only 1 in the downtown district, then maybe 4 of those 20 might qualify. But but those rules weren't in place when this one person applied. He came and applied and said, yep, you do this, you do this, you do this, and if you do all this stuff, then you can qualify. And he went and did all that stuff, and then they said, well, now it's for this district. Well, he was a victim of
Of circumstances.
of circumstances.
Okay.
So if someone in the second district applied, and there was already 5 people in the downtown district that had applied for the money, well, that money's going to go there first.
Right. That's right.
Because the grant basically stipulates that it's for the downtown
Right.
development. So, I mean, if we
Yes.
start giving money out to everybody, then the money's not gonna funnel to where it was originally proposed to be.
Well, the federal grant doesn't say that.
It don't say that.
No.
I didn't read
It
the
leaves
grant,
it
so-
to us to set the
Right.
priority. So it's not being misspent. It's up to us to prioritize where the money goes.
I believe Mrs. Townsend wants to say something.
One thing I would add is that the housing counseling is all done by NCall, and NCall is, clearly one of our lead partners in downtown revitalization. They are going to be building homes for homeownership in the downtown along with Habitat. And NCall is very aware of, one, the interest in promoting homeownership in the downtown, but also that requirement associated with how council allocated the funds. So as new clients come in, they're working with them on focusing them in the downtown if they're looking in Dover.
Okay, as long as we're in compliance with the grant regulations.
Thank you. What is the pleasure of council then?
Move to accept the report?
Second.
Motion been made by Councilman Hare, seconded by Councilman Hutchison to accept the report of the Parks, Recreation, and Community Enhancement Committee for August. We need to take action on item 5A.
Mr. President,
Councilman Anderson.
I move that we approve the committee recommendation and for council for item 5A.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman Anderson and seconded by Councilman Hare to accept the committee recommendation on item 5A. Is there any further discussion?
Just want to thank Councilman Lewis for doing diligence to ensure that we're in compliance with grants and asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Sedler?
Yes.
Mr. Neal?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
I'm gonna abstain on this vote.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Hosfeld?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Slavin?
Yes, motion carries 8-0 on abstention. Councilman Anderson?
Yes.
Is there then a motion?
Yes, Mr. President, I move that we approve the Parks, Recreation, Community Enhancement Committee report for August 10th, 2015.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Anderson, second by Councilman Hare to accept the report of the committee. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Now go to item number 8. Councilman Anderson, you could ask the clerk to call the consent agenda. This is discharging the ad hoc financial and operational advisory.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just had a concern about this because we were discharging this committee, and I've never seen a report from it, a final committee report on this committee.
I did reach out to the chair of the committee. The committee has not met in some time, and asked if a final report would be coming forward, and said no.
Okay.
I made the decision to go ahead and discharge the committee.
And that's the question I had. Of course, I couldn't ask it on, to pass through on consent agenda. I hope the new committee that's reporting on cost savings in government, that's a combination with staff and council. I hope that that committee does its due diligence and meets in. I move that we accept staff recommendation on the discharging of the ad hoc Financial and Operation Advisory Committee.
Second to the motion.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilman Sudler to discharge the ad hoc financial and operational advisory committee. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. Item number 9 is the first reading First reading is offered on proposed ordinance 2015-13, amending Appendix B zoning. Amendments to Appendix B zoning require a public hearing and is recommended for referral to the Planning Commission on September 21st, 2015, and that a public hearing be set for October 12th, 2015, at 7:30 p.m., at which time the final reading and council action will take place. Copies of all proposed ordinances are available at the entrance of the council chambers and be obtained from the city clerk's office. I will entertain a motion for its referral as recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Anderson, seconded by Councilman Neal, to refer the matter to the Planning Commission. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. I will now defer to the city clerk for the introduction of the proposed ordinance in accordance with Section 1-9 of the Dover Code. Madam Clerk.
Proposed ordinance number 2015-13, amending Appendix B zoning, Article 3, District Regulations, Section 2, General Residence Zones, RG1 and RG2, Article 4, Zoning, Bulk, and Parking Regulations, Section 4.2, RG1 General Residence Zones, and Article 5, Supplementary Regulations, Section 1, Supplementary Regulations applying to residence zones. This constitutes the first reading. Final reading is scheduled for October 12, 2015 at 7:30.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 10 is annexation rezoning request, first reading of the proposed ordinance 2015-14. It is recommended for referral to the Utility Committee on September 14th, 2015, the Planning Commission on September 21st, 2015, and that a public hearing be set for October 12th, 2015 at 7:30 p.m. Copies of all proposed ordinances are available at the entrance of the council chambers or can be obtained from the city clerk's office. This is for property located on the easterly side of Nixon Lane, consisting of .5171 plus or minus acres, Lot 1, and 121 Acorn Lane, consisting of .4609 plus or minus acres, Lot 2, owned by Paul C. Phillips and Teresa Hoshu. This property is currently zoned RS1, single-family residential, Kent County zoning classification, and the proposed zoning is R8, one-family residential, City of Dover zoning classification. I will entertain a motion for its referral as recommended.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Herron, seconded by Councilman Anderson. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. I'll now defer to the city clerk for the introduction of the proposed ordinance in accordance with Section 1-9 of the Dover Code. Madam Clerk.
Proposed ordinance number 2015-14, amending the zoning ordinance and zoning map of the City of Dover by changing the zoning designation of properties located on Nixon Lane and at 121 Acorn Lane. This constitutes the first reading. Final reading is scheduled for Monday, October 12, 2015 at 7:30.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We now have item number 11, council member announcements. Councilman Sutherland.
Thank you, Council President Slavin. There will be a second 4th District quarterly meeting in partnership with DCAF, Dover Community Action Forum, and Mount Zion AME Church's Social Action Commission to be held at 101 North Queen Street at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The topic is to discuss the current form of government versus the proposed strong mayor city council form of government. And we encourage all residents to participate, whether you're in the 4th District, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. That would be all. Thank
Can you
you.
give the date again for that?
That would be September 8th at 7 p.m. to 9
And the
p.m.
address?
Mount Zion AME Church, 101 North Queen Street.
Thank you, Councilman.
You're welcome.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, the 2nd District is going to be having a community meeting on Saturday, September 12th at 2 p.m. We're going to be holding it at Victory Christian Fellowship, 18 Green Hill Avenue in Dover, and it's a community meeting to hear the concerns of the constituents in the 2nd District. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lewis. Other announcements from members of council? Councilman Anderson.
Thank you. And Mr. President, that's ours is on a Tuesday night, by the way. And we would also like to alert everyone to September 22nd. There's the Economic Summit, the Kent County Economic Summit over at Del Tech will be held. And that's an important event, and I hope members of the city are well engaged in it, as well as others in the business community.
Councilman Sudler.
One last announcement. I wanted to say that as a newly elected council person, I'm very proud of the city manager and the department heads, city developer, and all of the officials, city officials, and state legislators who participated in the Lincoln Park and Simon Circle walkthrough this previous Saturday. I want to say that we not only did we have a really good time amongst each other as a whole, but we were really able to identify so that we can rectify the issues that we saw that were taking place in the Simon Circle and Lincoln Park area. A special thank you to First District City Councilman Hosfeld, as well as the city president, City Council President Tim Slavin for taking on the role of leadership and keeping us all together and focused. I want to say that I feel very proud to be a city councilman, and I hope that we continue the momentum and to continue to function as one, united. Thank you.
Councilman Hutchison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to announce that on September the 19th, the state here in the city of Dover will have the State Firemen's Parade here in the city of Dover. On October the 10th, the Dover Fire Department will have open house. Chief, on that, do you have a time on the open house?
The open house will be at noon, and it'll be at Legislative Mall in front of Legislative Hall.
Okay.
It'll be from noon to 4 for the entire community.
Give that date again, Chief.
October 10th.
Other announcements to council? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Sudler and seconded by
Second.
Councilman Hosfeld. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. We stand adjourned.